All right, welcome to another episode of the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast. Sunday morning here, Case. It's just me and you today. Is that a good thing? I guess so. We'll find out. We'll see how it goes here with Tyler. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing good, man. I think he's been holding back the team a little bit, but we gave him
He got the benching this week. We gave him the benching.
We gave him the Kawhi Leonard DMP. So just taking a rest day.
Needs a little rest. That's all right. That's understandable.
Hopefully he's enjoying some cinnamon rolls, some bacon, whatever.
Shaq would not be a fan of him.
We miss you, Tyler. We wish you were here. We're just giving you.
I don't miss seeing that Giants hat though. That Giants hat kind of gets a little annoying after a while. I feel like he rubs it in my face because my A's and our A's suck from the beginning. So I don't miss seeing that. That's for sure. That hat of his.
No.
Man, did you see anything with the A's again this week? I was so frustrated with them. I mean, I don't know how many baseball followers we have or fans, but it's just in terms of our team, man. I just don't get it. It's like you can relate if you just like a team, right? It's like your favorite team, and the A's are my favorite team. Maybe as I've gotten older, I tend to like basketball a little bit more. I definitely like coaching basketball a lot more. I definitely have more opportunities doing it. And now with me getting a chance to do PE, I'm able to kind of like do soccer again. So it's kind of fun to do those sports again. But like baseball is really like, as you know, my true like passion, especially the A's. And it's just like, it's so frustrating. They're so cheap. And it gets annoying. And I guess the reason I bring it up again is because Simeon this week basically gets a 1-year, $18 million offer from the Blue Jays, which really isn't that much money considering the baseball market and considering he's a pretty good starting shortstop from your area. Went to Cal. He's a local product. What was he, third in the MVP a couple years ago? I mean, I know he wasn't quite as good last year, but
he was definitely top 5.
It's just kind of annoying. Like for the people that don't know the A's history at all, is like ever since 96, basically they grow it. They develop a crop for 5 years. They play well together for about 3, right? And then they move on slowly. They move on these pieces they've had. And that's what's happening again right now, right? We're seeing it. We're seeing it with Simeon. And we know in a matter of time, Chapman and Olsen are probably next, right? And then probably 6 years down the road, Luzardo's gone. And so the cycle will start again. And so, I mean, I don't know about you, but it's pretty frustrating. And I don't know what we do. It's like fans, like, can we pull a Wall Street? Can we all, can we basically like band together to like get this owner, John Fisher, out of there, who is worth $3 billion, but for some reason is not operating as a Major League Baseball owner. And so, I mean, I'm pretty frustrated about it. I'm pretty pissed off about it. And like I was talking to Brian this week, and like I was mad at him this week when I was on the phone, Case. I was like, I want you to be more pissed off about it, dude. I was like, come on, like you should start being mad about it. So I don't know.
Well, it's infuriating.
Help me.
It's infuriating, man, because it's like every year it's like the same thing. And it's like you said, it's 3 years, 5 years to like build like a good playoff core team, and then they give them 3 years to win it all. And if they don't win it all, which is never happened, well, in our recent era. And so it gets to the point where it's how much longer can you root for an organization that doesn't have the interest of a fan or even the players? It's like the facilities. I mean, it's like the facilities. Like, come on, like. I mean,
I don't give a shit about the facilities, right?
I've never heard games getting canceled at any other stadium for sewage problems and, like leaks. And, it's like at some point, it's like this is a professional team. It's ran by a $3 billion owner. Yet he can't afford $18 million, which I'm not saying like.
Well, and he's had to lay off a lot of like people that actually were like, like me or you, jobs working there, maybe a little bit more, but like they have to lay off a lot of those people, a lot of minor league people. So, I mean, it's like for some reason they're not able to like operate as a major league franchise. And it's like, we're just basically stuck rooting for laundry, right?
Yeah. I mean, he was one of the first owners when the recession hit with the virus, where he's just like, we're not going to pay any of our minor league players. And it's just like, all right, I'm going to save a couple hundred on this guy, 600 on him. It just gets to the point where I mean,
I just am pissed off about it. Come on.
there's so
It's like,
many.
what are we doing?
Well, I mean, you just run down the list. I mean, ever since Moneyball, the movie came out, it's like deja vu. And it's like, okay, we're going to get all these guys from the farm system, make these trades, and, they become an all-star, and we just ship them out as soon as they kind of reach their high point or they run out of their yearly contract. And they're like, all right, good luck with another team. So
I
it's
mean, let's
like,
be real. Go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off.
I was just gonna say, because the list goes on, like Eric Chavez was the only one they signed out of like the core group, and it's like they had Tejada, Donaldson. I mean, the list goes on and on. Giambi,
Yeah, no, we could go since 2000 and name like 30 guys basically they could have kept. And I think that's the problem for me as a fan is, we get mad because they fail in the playoffs, but it's hard in baseball. I mean, yeah, you have these years where you win, but like the A's are basically giving themselves a small percentage or a small chance because they're trying to play within this system that works for them to get them into the dance. But to win the dance, their margin of error is so small because they don't keep these guys long, or they're not able to develop that personality like sometimes our good friend Tyler has experience with the Giants and that type of deal. So I don't know. I just felt like I had to go on a little bit of an A's rant there, especially after talking to Brian, who is I gotta say, wouldn't you say Brian growing up was like one of our biggest A's, the biggest A's fans we knew? I mean, he came back looking like a lobster from sitting in the sun from an A's game at like 1 in the afternoon. Remember that? You remember
yeah.
that he showed up at our house?
Oh yeah.
So anybody who doesn't know Brian, Brian is one of our good friends. He's like he's a tall drink of water, right? He's about 6'6", 6'6", big guy. And he's sitting out and he shows up at our house, right? You're probably watching Chuck Norris or something like that. Actually, I was watching a Chuck Norris movie just for you the other day. And he shows up at the house, right? He's got his, I don't know, let's pick a jersey that he might have. Rich Harden. We'll throw a Rich Harden button-up jersey on him right there. And what was his face and his arms and legs were as red as they can be, right? Like ruby red.
Ruby red, yeah.
And he's all pissed because he's stuck in two hours of traffic. So I guess my point with that was, Brian, we need you to get that passion back. Start getting on Facebook. Start getting on Twitter. I know you. Let's go. Let's show us a little bit more anger there. Life doesn't revolve around football. Every time he's texting me, he's like, "Oh, it's only football there." And I'm like, "Come on, Brian. We need to get you. You've lived in San Diego too long. Let's go." Maybe that's the problem. Some of the A's fans aren't as involved anymore.
Well, he seemed like he was more upset when they canceled the Hills instead of the A's losing a playoff game. I was like, come on, man. Lauren Conrad's not that important.
Like, he's a big Lauren Conrad fan. I think him and Hunter are the only one I know that watches the replays of those. What is his like shows that he watches? He's got the OC, right?
One
That's
Tree
also
Hill.
kind of One Tree Hill.
That's the Sophia Bush.
One Tree Hill. That's definitely the one. All right, Brian, we love you out there, man. We're just messing with you. Well, let's kind of veer off. Well, actually, let's stay on baseball for a second because I wanted to get to also the other thing with baseball real quick is the Hall of Fame, and nobody got in. We'll go quick with this. As nobody got in the Hall of Fame for the first time in like 12 years or something like that. First of all, me and you have never been to the Hall of Fame. I know mom and dad have been there. It's like in the small like upper town, obviously in Cooperstown. I guess it's like in upper New York. Kind of nothing like Manhattan or you would picture. We got to go there, man. One of these times. I hear it's got to be a pretty cool museum. You know what I mean? Knowing all the history we know of it as well. So one of these times we'll have to get out there, but nobody gets in the Hall of Fame this year. And I just don't get it. Like, remember how we talk about like how like, I'm not comparing voting for the Hall of Fame to like racism by any means, but remember how we were talking last week about Hank Aaron, how things evolve and stuff like that. And it seems like with the writers and baseball players, they're still like in this era, there's still like those guys from like the 60s and 70s and 80s that can still vote, to just kind of hold on to these grudges with these players. And like, it affects them from like getting like a Griffey 100% vote, or, you know what I mean? Like, or Bonds and like not getting in, or Clemens not getting in, or some of these other guys I know I'm forgetting not getting in, like Schilling. Like Schilling should be, I mean, it's like last year, he's a Hall of Famer in my book, right? I mean, he pitched like great in the playoffs, and I don't know. I don't get why these people take personal grudges to like voting. I wish I had this audio of this MLB Network thing. Maybe I'll bring it up while you're talking. And like, it's that it's like that Van Gucci guy or something like that on ESPN or on MLB Network or something like that. I know I messed up his name. Not and he he's basically like he does this like they're like filming this video before the Hall of Fame election. He's like, I hold this piece of paper, and with this piece of paper, I have the power. And I'm like, you're a voter for a writer. It's like I don't understand like why these guys that write just hold on to these grudges and hold as much power with the vote as they do.
Well, the thing that's like total asinine is like when they like give out the explanation of like, the criteria for making the Hall of Fame. It's like, when did integrity and like character come into play? Like,
There's the real assholes in the Hall of Fame and like beyond races in the Hall of Fame, huh?
Ty Cobb comes to mind. I mean,
the NL MVP is named after I forget the guy's name right. I'm gonna look it up after you say it. His name is in the NL MVP, and he prevented from black players from playing in the league the whole time he was the commissioner.
yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. I'm blanking on his name as well, but sometimes it's just like, what are we doing? Like, what are we like? These, like you said, it's writers. Like, I don't understand why former players don't have a say, or the people in the Hall of Fame as players, if they want them in and they think you fit that, criteria of statistics, then he should be in. Like Kurt Schilling, I mean, what he do? All he's done is probably make some remarks that were inappropriate, I guess, to a certain standpoint to certain people. And I get it, but that had nothing to do with what he was doing in a complete game shutout or, winning the World Series for Arizona.
Yeah. Or having a bloody sock, right? The bloody sock.
Bloody sock, yeah.
But the Bonds one kind of pisses me off the most, maybe because we're local, right? And like we saw him play, and it's like this guy is no doubt the best player. You don't stop what you're doing in baseball while you're watching a baseball game just so you can watch this guy hit. That doesn't happen very often. I mean, this guy is the best player in our life, and we will probably never see a better baseball player than this guy in terms of hitting, right? Like we will not. There's no time where the batter has ever had the advantage over a pitcher. And he's the only person that has ever had the advantage most of the time he's coming up to plate. The man should be in the Hall of Fame. Let's go.
Bob Brenly intentionally walked him with the bases loaded.
You always say Bob. It's not Bob. It's the guy before him. The guy with the good hair.
Right.
Showalter.
Yeah.
The blonde bomber. Hey, just for the record, the commissioner's name was Judge Keenshaw Landis. That was the guy. He was the commissioner from 1921 to 1944, and he's the guy's name that's on the NL MVP board. I mean, flat out racist, no doubt about it. And I know Barry Larkin, who won I believe the 90 MVP. He has an issue with it as well. He's never understood it. You know what I mean? Why baseball still celebrates some of these guys, but we're keeping guys out like Bonds and Clemens and some of these other guys where it's like, just get them in the Hall of Fame. Use your best judgment, right? Like a Sammy Sosa. Yeah, you know what? He's probably not a Hall of Famer without those 360 home run seasons. He's out. We get that. Luis Gonzalez, you're out. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, these other guys that like have these fake years, but it's frustrating.
I think one of the things that you mentioned at the top of when we're speaking about the Hall of Fame is, what is it? A museum. What is a museum full of? History. Is the history always good? No. There's two sides to history. It's usually one villain and one hero. So I'm not classifying them as villains or heroes, but you can't just like rip out pages of a history book and pretend like it never happened. So it's like,
I think as time goes on, the younger generation will push Bonds and Clemens. And I think because I think what is the case after the 15th year, they have like the veterans committee where like that is where the players can vote you in, or there's certain like a certain board that can get you in. Well, and that's where I see these guys getting in.
That's where Schilling kind of alluded. He's like, just take my name off the ballot, let there be another. I don't care. Yeah, I don't care. I don't blame him after this long. I'd be fed up too. I mean, especially
pissed at the writers.
I mean, no offense. I'm not trying to bang on anyone that's in the Hall of Fame, but if Harold Raines is in the Hall of Fame, then
Harold Baines,
excuse me, then Kurt Schilling should probably be in there. No doubt.
I had this. Tyler, remember? Were you on the text trade? No, you should. It was a Twitter trade about Harold Baines and Tyler. You should look it up. I think it was like, and Clinton, I think, got involved in this somehow. I was talking to him about it. And Tyler used Harold Baines just like you did as your example. And I was like, "You never saw him play."
Yeah, he didn't see him play at all.
So
He
I'll say
probably
this.
didn't even know he played for the freaking White Sox.
So I'll say the same thing to you. If you're going to use Harold Baines as your example, you never saw him play either. Yeah,
I saw him play.
like at the end of his career on the A's or something like that.
Oh, and they have YouTube. I could watch that. I'm not saying I sat down in a lobster vest like Brian and watched Harold Baines for 9 innings, but
I just love the unnecessary cheap shot at Harold from both of you guys. Using Harold as your example should not be in the Hall of Fame. Tyler said his dad. Oh, this is Greg. I hope Greg did not say this. I consider Greg a decent baseball man, so I'm hoping his comment was not this. He said that Tyler said that his dad or other old baseball heads, as Tyler quoted it, was talking about Justin Upton being compared to Harold Baines. I was like, that is just an unnecessary cheap shot at Harold. I mean, Harold has over 3,000 hits.
Justin
Upton.
Come on, someone's got to put $100 reward out on that.
Come on, Greg. Come on. I hope that wasn't Greg. A 2-time fantasy baseball champion. I know, or maybe 3-time actually. I just thought that was funny. Both of you guys use Harold Baines as your example, but I don't know, man. Bond should be in there to me. Clemens. They're the two best pitchers. They're the best pitcher, and the best hitter, and since Nolan Ryan, and then others, statistically, right? So it's just funny to me that they're not in the Hall of Fame. So, all right, why don't we take a break here real quick? We'll be right back, just because we'll take a little break from baseball there, and we'll move on to talk a little basketball here in a sec. So, all right, we'll be right back. All right, we're back here on the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast. Case, quickly wanted to mention, though, after to finish up our baseball segment, Arenado gets traded from the Rockies to the Cardinals. Our guy over at I Don't Know Sports does a good podcast over there. Follow him. Check his out. I think he's taking this week off, but he does a good job over there. So check out his podcast for sure. He's a Cardinals fan and totally jealous as an A's fan, right? The Cardinals are the one franchise you got to be completely jealous of. Yeah, maybe they don't go all in like the Yankees or Dodgers, but I mean, what are they like? They're pretty much just the Spurs of baseball in a sense. They're always consistent, always have good players to root for. They usually hold on to their homegrown players for a good amount of time. Maybe not Pujols his whole career, but they held on to him for 11 years. You know what I mean? So just got to throw that out there real quick before we get to the NBA. Just a little bit jealous of the Cardinals. So come on, A's, get it together. It's my last thing. Moving on. All right, Case, let's get into the NBA though. We're going to bring up a little bit of the Oubre trade. I got a few other things I wanted to bring up, but I think we both were noticing Bradley Beal this week.
Yeah, I mean, he's been balling out this year. He's leading the league in scoring with 35 points a game. I just feel sorry for him. I mean, they've been smacked with the coronavirus on that team, so they haven't even played very many games compared to a lot of the other NBA teams. But, man, I don't know. Just your opinion, who do you think got the better, that Wall or, Westbrook? Would you rather have Wall? Because I've been watching him play. He looks pretty damn good, man. He's got a burst to him still.
Didn't we talk about this with Tyler? And Tyler was the one that thought that Washington got the better end of the deal. And I think me and you both kind of thought that Houston got the better end of the deal because of we just kind of thought that getting rid of Westbrook, they really had no choice. And they were able to at least salvage some picks, and they were able to get Wall out of it, who, like I said, maybe could have a Baron Davis type rejuvenation, thus from Hornets to Warriors, kind of like Wall could have from Wizards to the Rockets. And I think maybe we're seeing, we're a quarter into the season. Well, the Wizards are they're not quite a quarter into the season. They've been way behind. But my point is maybe we're starting to see something there where they're starting to click a little bit. The Rockets, they're actually kind of entertaining to watch again a little bit. And Wall, like you said, has that burst. So I don't know. Back to Beal though. I think that he goes to the Rockets. No, I kind of think a lot of people throw out the Warriors. I've heard the owner say they're not trading him, so I don't think he's going to get traded. I think he's going to have to suck it up for another year or two. I mean, they just signed him to a 4-year deal, so I don't see them as an ownership just signing him and then cutting bait with him that quickly. I know he would be more fun to watch on those teams, but I just don't see it happening. He's kind of it feels like he's going to eventually maybe get traded here in the next year or two. Maybe he'll have a T-Mac type career where he kind of starts to take off since he'll get traded or something like that. But We'll see. I don't know. I'm not quite sure where he'll end up, but I know I'd like to see him with like a team like like the Warriors or something like that, somebody like that. Or a team I kind of would like to see him with is actually Memphis. I would like to see him with John Morant. I don't know what Memphis could actually give up, and they're so small market oriented that I'm not so sure they would even pull something off like that. But I just would like that Morant. I think somehow get that Morant Jackson Beal combination. I don't know if they could get if they'd have to get trade Jackson in a trade like that probably, but that to me that would be the team.
Yeah, I mean, he's just such a good player, man. When you watch him play, I mean, we talked about him a
He's
little bit
smooth.
ago, but he's just he can score, he can cut, he can play D. I mean, he's gonna be an all-star this year. And I saw some people had Kyrie Irving over Bradley Beal as a starter. I don't know. I know Kyrie's balling out and having a great year. Like he has I think 26 a game,
When he's
averaging
playing.
when he's playing, yeah, Sage Kyrie. But then he's shooting over 50% from the field, which is unreal. And then people are like, well, he hasn't played that many games. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. But when you think about it, it's like they have 3 All-Stars, and you remember when the Warriors had their 3. I mean, it's easy to get
Yeah.
20 almost on a team like that. And now that Beal, I mean, he's really the only player that can kind of get buckets for the Wizards. Yeah, Westbrook, but he can't stretch the floor. He can't shoot the 3. So it's like you're kind of leaving him on an island. And what you watch him play, it's just like he's coming into his own. I know he's been really good the last few years, but I think without a ball dominant player, I think he could almost do like what Devin Booker did the year before without Chris Paul. Like just
Yeah,
giving
he
the
could drop
ball.
like that.
Well, I mean, just giving the ball and let him play making. Because I know this is kind of segueing a little different, but with Paul now, Booker hasn't really been able to play how he wants to and dominate the ball, kind of like how Harden does. Now Beal, I don't know. I think he's like, you can just like, I don't know if you saw that like picture of him on the sideline and he just had his arms like this, like after the
Yeah, I
Wizards.
saw it.
Like, what else can I do, man? Like,
Well,
there's a
he
crazy
can
stat where it's
he
like
can
in
take his money.
10 games when he's had like 30 plus 40, 50, 60, their team's got 1, so they're 1 and
I know
9.
he's like 1-9. I saw that. That's crazy, huh?
That should never happen.
Well, I don't feel sorry for him though. He's making good money. He's making good money there. He's playing with a great teammate, right? Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, no,
I'm
I don't
just
feel
kidding.
sorry for him at all, but I mean, I'm just saying, like,
I
everyone
wonder how
wants
many
to
people
win.
actually watch Bradley Beal play. Like, I wonder if he's like exciting enough. Like we see the stats, but I wonder how many people are actually turning on Washington games to watch him play. Because he actually that big of a draw. I don't know.
I don't think Washington's the biggest basketball
Maybe
fan
not.
base there is. I mean, for baseball, yeah, they're loving them Nationals, but I don't know. I mean,
And they like the football team, right?
yeah, Washington football team. But what
Hey,
would you
did you hear?
say? I was gonna
Yeah.
say, what would you say though? If you're an average fan growing up, would you rather go to a baseball game, football, or basketball,
Well,
or soccer?
I said my favorite sport is baseball, so it's always baseball for me.
Yeah,
It's
get your
always
money
baseball.
worth.
Yeah, I just like the sport, and I like going to it live. I like basketball too. Actually, hockey's pretty fun too live. I've
Yeah.
only been to one hockey. I've only been to one. Actually, I've been to 2 hockey games, but one hockey game. We got pretty good seats, and that game to me was one of the best ones live because you can appreciate how fast they can skate and stuff like that. All right, so Beal, we both agree that he would be better on a team. I just don't think they're going to trade him. I just don't see it. After giving him such a big deal like that, I think he's going to have to at least hang on for at least into the offseason for sure. One last quick note on the NBA too. We kind of heard these rumors about Oubre. Maybe the idea of a trade coming around with the Pelicans, possibly. I don't see that being the place that Ball ends up, but I thought it'd be interesting to see Ball and Redick and maybe some sort of trade with the Warriors, where the Warriors giving Oubre and I don't know something else in the deal. But I thought that was kind of an interesting note if Ball somehow was on this team. I don't know if Ball. Somebody on Twitter mentioned like Ball playing like a Livingston possible role on the Warriors, and I could see something like that. But he doesn't, to me, have that half court skill that like like a Livingston brings or a Barbosa. He's such an open court player right now, Ball. Like, and his 3-point shooting, thus he did shoot good the other night. He's not shooting consistently enough to where he has a thing yet on half court. And so that's the only thing with me is like, I don't know what his thing is yet, other than like having a good feel for the game. That's my thing with him still is like, I want him to do good. I kind of, I've always liked his like vision, and I've liked his kind of way of leading a team. But we'll see. To me, it'd be kind of an interesting trade. But when Oubre plays well, the Warriors look a lot more athletic and dynamic. So it's kind of a give and take there, right? Because Ball's just as bad a shooter as Oubre's been.
Yeah, it's just your third best player should not get 2 points, like, or 4
Ball.
points. No, Oubre.
Yeah.
Like, he has these games where it's just like they're stinkers. They're bad. Like, when they're bad, they're bad, and when they're good, they're really good. But there's no
He's really
medium.
inconsistent.
Yeah, and that's just like, it's hard to watch. I mean, I feel for the guy. Like, when you jack up shots and like he'll have a game like, oh damn, like he's got his stroke down, and then you watch the next game and it's like, what the hell happened? Like, he like has no confidence. Like, balls are going like a foot over the rim, air ball. It's confusing, like wild shots, and I'm like, what happened? Like, you just played like the best game of your career for the Warriors, and then you come back against Phoenix. Maybe it was jitters against his old team, trying to do well, pressing a little bit, but you watch that game and it's like, you can just see the talent level that Curry and Wiggins have on a nightly basis. I just want to see Oubre be able to do that, but I haven't yet to see it.
Maybe he should just do what Simmons does and don't shoot from the outside. That's what I would do. Just play to your strength, buddy. Stop doing that. Just drive in all the time.
Just put up two a game. Put up two a game. Keep them honest.
Yeah, exactly. Just kind of. I mean, that's exactly what it is. Just stop shooting so much. I know he thinks of it. I just drive every time. That's my thing with it. So
the Warriors' third best player is actually Eric Pascal, I think. Or right now,
I don't know. I mean,
Wiseman definitely, but
Tyler keeps texting me that Halliburton's not in the top 3. I'm like, he's like, I haven't watched a full game. I'm like, well, you gotta watch him play. Like, a full game was like how he plays. Like, he's not gonna score right now, but the man just has such a feel for the game. Like, this rookie class case is, I mean, it's good. I like it. I mean, Wiseman, and you got Ball, who looks like he's something. And Edwards is showing some signs. Edwards is still that one where it's like, to me, he could be as good as Dwayne Wade, as bad as Dion Waiters type of deal. Like, I don't know where he is, like, in terms of, like, just because I can't read his I don't think he understands the game well enough yet, so I can't read, like, where he's going to develop in that sense yet, but he's obviously a freak athletically. Halliburton, though, man, I'm just so impressed with him. I know Nick's been buying more of his cards because trying to get you can buy him cheap right now. I mean, he plays for the Kings, but I'm telling you, he's going to be a good player for sure. I was watching something. Can we segue real quick from basketball to cards real quick? Have you noticed that cards are worth a ton of money now in some cases? Like, it's ridiculous how much these card market is going up.
Yeah.
But it's I think the thing with the card market though too is like, you got to be more like, you got to be almost like how a game, like, let's say like Brady wins the Super Bowl, right? Like, if you could sell it like your Brady cards a couple hours right after that game, I feel like you would get more than if you like hung on to it for a longer time. You know what I mean? Or let's say he loses, his probably value might drop a few hundred or something like that for that moment. So I think it's kind of an interesting like game, the card game. And I know our buddy Nick's kind of like into it a little bit. I know, not crazy. You know, he buys a few cards here and there, so we've learned a little bit through him. But like me and you, we've kind of always grown up with the mentality of opening up our cards and just kind of holding on to them forever. And it's not a bad strategy in some ways, because you do get cards that are worth a lot down the line. But nowadays, it seems like the market, maybe it's the coronavirus, people being at home more. Like, our generation now has a little bit more money. So we're able to kind of spend on these things. People are doing a lot of Zoom meetings like us and want to put stuff on their background. I don't know what the deal is, but the card market has just like gone up like crazily, like it did about 15 years ago. So I don't know. Like, are you buying any cards out there? Are you selling anything like that?
No, I haven't bought a card. I thought about doing it. I just haven't bought a card. I don't know the last time, but I mean, I was on this probably, I don't know, like a year ago or something like that. It was whenever LeBron James card sold for the record deal, and Mike Trout's, and And I was like, man,
You
this
should
is
have
like,
invested then, dude.
well, yeah, I know.
You can't say you're on it when you got to put some skin in the game. Let's
Well, it's
go.
just like the Bucks going to the Super Bowl. I should have put 150 and would have made 1,500.
You got to put that skin in the game. The skin. That's what makes the
know.
difference there. That's what
Yeah.
makes the pain. It's kind
It's
of like
easy.
Go ahead. I cut you off.
I said it's easy to talk about it, but it's harder to walk about it. So I don't know if you can talk and walk, then I guess I can't do both at once right now. But
It's kind of like the same thing with that GameStop thing this week. Like, yeah, I wish I would have put $600 in it 3
yeah,
weeks ago.
right.
I really would have been a genius. That whole thing is nuts too. That Robinhood thing this week.
Yeah, I love the little man coming up big.
Yeah, I did too. I like how people were like, "Oh, let's just take that $600 that we're getting from the government, basically, and put it right back into this." And but it does seem unfair to me, like that. I'm kind of a little bit worried where it goes from here too. Like, I don't like the idea of how they were able to, like, Robinhood like halted the public from being able to buy more of that GameStop stock or other stock like AMC, because it's like, who are you protecting? You know what I mean? Like, are we protecting these billionaires? We've always known they've had an unfair advantage, but it's like, especially after this week, it's never been more obvious that they had an unfair advantage, because they're basically just buying out all these businesses when nobody else can. You know what I mean? With their type of money. So and there's betting on it, and then it's kind of good to see the people fight back and be able to get on the same page like that. The internet, man, it's like, it's crazy. There's like no rules, but now they're kind of making rules on the internet too. Like, hey, you can't buy any more of this stock. So I don't know. I'll see where it goes. And it's funny to me that their name is Robinhood, and now it's like, come on, man, your name is Robinhood. You're supposed to let people buy the stock.
It's like you're not supposed to be the real life sheriff from Nottingham where you could just stop people at will and just like, no, just because I'm Robinhood, you can't do it. It's like, it's BS, dude.
It is
like,
the title of your name.
Well, it's like you're getting your ass whooped in a video game. You're like, oh, just restart it. I don't like how it's going right now. It's like, nah, man, you can't just do that. We all saw what happened. You can't just delete what you just saw. It's like, now it's like, it's cool. It's like the people with pitchforks and, knives coming at the big guys. Like, nah, like, this ain't gonna happen no more. And then they, just like you said, the inequality of like, oh, like
the information they know.
We knew it was corrupt before, but now it's just blatantly obvious. Like, yeah, we're shutting it down. You can't buy anymore. And it's like, what the really?
Yeah,
like,
it's gonna be interesting if they're able to survive that. Look at me and you talking stock market. Who would have thought one of these days out here? Who would have thought it? No, it's just kind of curious how those, like, I thought that was interesting this week, how that took place. I don't even know what we were talking about, how we got into that, but I don't know. I just thought it was crazy how it's just going to be interesting where it goes from there for me. Like, because there's going to be a lot of people that probably still buy into stock now. Like, let's say me or you buy into something thinking that it will go high again like that. And they're going to get burned. Not everybody. It's not going to be everybody has these success stories of, oh, we bought these stocks that were, low, and then we were able to basically fool these billionaires and then make more money. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where it goes from here. I haven't talked to my broker, Nick Flanagan, about it yet, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see where he's at with it.
Before I put money, I have to go to lendingtree.com to get some cash.
LendingTree.
As you can see, this podcast in my nice facility of a Toyota Camry is not paying.
I know I know. It looks like you're not on Wall Street right now.
I'm like James Corden, but without the carpool karaoke. I'm just sitting in a car.
Hey, let's be back here. Let's come back and we'll just wrap it up with the Stafford information. You good?
Yep.
All right, and we're back. We're gonna wrap it up here with some NFL. This is just for you, Brian. You've been texting me all week, and about Matthew Stafford. I've been getting Adam text as well. He's been wanting the Patriots to get Watson, so we got to have them on the podcast, man.
Yeah, no, we got to get him on, man. We haven't had any special guests.
Yeah, we got to get them on. I don't know what to talk. I mean, we got to talk some definitely got to talk maybe some wrestling with them as well. Get into some stuff like that as well. Adam and Brian.
Had the big Royal Rumble match this past couple weeks.
Maybe let's send out an invite right now. Let's say a couple weeks from now, maybe after the Super Bowl, before the draft, we get Adam. We can piss off Brian by just doing Warriors chalk talk and all that stuff as well. So no, he stated that. So All right, so that's our invite to those guys for coming on to the podcast. Stafford gets traded to the Rams, right, for 2 first-round picks. Goff goes to the Lions. It's probably good for Goff in a sense too. Possibly he kind of gets to restart. Hopefully, maybe in a sense. With the Lions, he kind of gets away from the California thing. He's been obviously went to high school here, went to college here. Maybe it's good for him to get a fresh start somewhere else. Kind of sucks us to the Lions though.
Yeah. Where
Not
careers start and end.
Not the best track record, but they do have some decent players on offense, so maybe he can build around there. They do have a new coach at least, so whatever. Maybe there's it is Dan Campbell, so he's gonna maybe have to bite some kneecaps a little bit. But so Stafford ends up on the Rams. What do you think? Think it's a good fit?
I think it's great fit. I think it's just a better version of Jared Goff, and he's more. I mean, he's been around the league. He knows what he's doing. He hasn't seen a defense that he probably hasn't gone against. I mean, Goff just was.
But is he that good though, Case? Like, is Stafford that good? Like, I mean, what has he been to the playoffs one time? Like, I don't know. I'm just playing. I just want to be the opposite. Like, I mean, is he really that good?
No, he's not really that good. It's just Jared Goff is really that bad.
So you trade 2 first-round picks again for it? I mean, they're going Brooklyn Nets on this. They're like, we're not going to have any picks for like 8 years.
They have to go in, though. I mean, they already traded all their picks for Jalen Ramsey. They gave Aaron Donald a ton of money. Like, they have a lot of money invested in probably like a 3-year window. So if you don't go for it now, you're just going to be shit out of luck and stuck.
I don't even know if it's 3 years. It might be 2 years, huh? Because football's a weird sport, right? Like Ramsey, like Donald this year, right? He breaks his or he hurts his rib. It's like the playoff run over. I don't know. Like, that's what sucks about football. It just feels like you go all in, man. You can get burned a lot easier.
Well, yeah, that's why it's a high risk move, but I think you have to do it because you could just see Goff and McVay. I mean, the tell for me that I was like, that's the end. Like, he's not coming back if they can get rid of him. If Wolford started that playoff game, he got hurt and Goff came in. He looked good. But it's like, well, if he could play, then why didn't they start him?
Yeah,
so,
no.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think the writing was on the wall right there because it's like
yeah, no. It's like a coach in basketball. It's like whoever's on the court the last 3 minutes, that's who he trusts the most. And so, obviously by Goff not being in, that's not who he trusted anymore at that point. Nothing even. I mean, maybe the injury mattered a little bit, but yeah, you're right. That pretty much.
It's just so crazy though how like you were saying football is just like now. If not, you're done. Like, look at the last 2 quarterbacks, not the last 2, but within the last 5 years, Garoppolo, after he lost the Super Bowl, they're ready to get rid of him. Jared Goff, he gets a year later. It's like, damn, if you don't win like that Super Bowl and you don't perform the next year at a high level, they're like ready to shock you. They're like,
yeah, football's brutal, man. Like, even the coaches don't get much of a leash either. Like, did you see the Eagles coach, his press conference? Man, he's going to get – maybe he's just not a good public speaker. I'm not going to say if I was up there getting hired or anything like that, I'd be speaking beautifully either. So maybe he could get control of the locker room a different way, but you got to go back and watch that. It wasn't it was a little awkward. Let's just put it that way.
It wasn't his finest moment.
He just kind of was pausing a little bit. Didn't come across like super smooth, but I mean, whatever. It's the media. It's not like it's his team. So as long as he could do it to his team, I guess it's all that matters. But it was kind of, it looked like he was doing a speech and he was a little nervous. This kind of way it looked like a little bit. So,
well, at least he's got 2 quarterbacks to choose from opposed to the Texans. Cooley, who's just like trying to keep one.
Yeah, they're going to keep Watson. I don't think he's going to go anywhere either. So the Stafford, let's wrap it up with him. Brian, we're sorry that he doesn't go to the Niners. Brian really wanted Stafford. So I'm curious who they end up with. He would rather have Jimmy G than Goff. I was suggesting Goff.
Nah. You're basically getting the same guy.
I know. I was kidding. But with Shanahan, I trust him a little bit more. So I don't know. We'll see where the Niners end up with. I think I kind of just have always thought they ended up just keeping Jimmy G the whole time. I just felt like that's kind of who will kind of. I mean, they have the contract with him already. I just feel like they're not going to want to necessarily give up 2 first-round picks for a quarterback unless it's somebody like Watson. But we'll see. We'll see where it goes from there. Anything else with the NFL?
I just say it's crazy, man. Just the turnover of how many quarterbacks come and go. It's insane.
Crazy.
But yeah, no, I'm stoked for this coming Sunday, man. It's gonna be
Super Bowl. You got any bets on the line? I put in 54.5 is the over. The line's gone up since then, so I feel good about it. I just feel like the Bucks and Chiefs are going to score more than 54 points. So that was my bet of the week.
I feel
not
like
much on it.
I feel like the best bet you can make is the coin flip. It's a 50-50 chance. It's either heads or tails.
Yeah, but the odds might not be that great. 50-50 chance.
You never
Yeah, that's
know.
true. I always like the bets for the national anthem, like will it last 2 minutes and 30 seconds or something like that. Those ones I always get a kick out of too.
How many times will they show Tom Brady's wife?
Isn't it funny how the Super yes. One of my favorite lines of the Super Bowl was it was the Rams Titans Super Bowl, and I remember the Rams owner. She was like that older woman that took over the team. Remember her? She was like the old owner of the team. And like I think it was Boomer Esiason and Al Michaels did the game for that Super Bowl. And I remember they win the Super Bowl and and they're kind of like the trophy. It's like the 15 minutes after the game's over. And Boomer Esiason's like, I forget her name, but he goes, "Oh, and he took over the team after her 7th husband died." And I was like, "Oh, come on, Boomer, that's unnecessary." I remember Uncle Hobie like getting the kick out of it. God rest his soul. He was laughing about it too. He's like, "7th husband." He's like, and Hobie didn't care about football or anything like that, but he noticed that, so I just thought that was fun. Boomer Esiason, man, always an asshole. That's what he's up to. But anyways, I just thought that was always kind of a
Super
funny
Bowl's
thing
provided some really good moments, like the Janet Jackson nipple.
That was always that was an interesting one. Also at our grandmother's house. That was.
I just remember I was like 11 or 13. I think I was 11, and I was
you were like the only one that saw it. Right?
I was the only one that saw it. There's like 20-some people, and like all of a sudden, like everyone's getting food, and I was like, I think I just saw my first nipple. I was like, what the hell is that?
And then I remember we couldn't find you for like a half an hour.
Well, I was young and curious.
We were like, where'd Casey go? And then you came back and told the story. So now I get where. No, I'm just kidding.
Super relaxed.
All right, man. That's a good podcast this week. Tyler, missed you out there. We'll get back at it next week. I know we were talking about doing some maybe writing a few like little articles or something like that. So maybe we'll kind of have some new stuff out for the year. Maybe do some new podcasts. And me and you have talked about doing some baseball podcasts. Me and Tyler talked about doing some NBA podcasts. We're going to try to add some video to it. We're working on that as well. So keep a lookout for that. Just enjoy, anybody that watches just for a second or two, just appreciate it. It's not always easy to do this, the podcast thing, the timing, right? Like it's hard. So it's like some of those people that do it, like I know like our guys over at I Don't Know and these other guys I listen to. It's actually isn't it pretty difficult in some ways? Like to be able to be there on time, to learn some of the stuff. Like me and you were just kind of chit chatting for the most part, and we're having it planned out. But like to all the other stuff, like the guys that do it professionally or get to that level, you kind of need a team for this stuff. You realize, and it's not as cut and dry as it looks sometimes. That's what that's what I'm realizing.
No, so. I give them mad respect because it takes a lot too just to get out there on camera and show your face, let you know. And half the time, not half the time, but sometimes you're gonna have a lapse where you kind of get brain farted or kind of can't rattle off a stat that you can remember. But I mean, when you're doing it with 2 people or 3 people, and then you all have different opinions, and I mean that's what makes it fun to do. But at the same time, you're trying to stay on topic. But yeah, no, to do that at that level and to do it like smoothly, like you watch these shows, like I don't know, even like one of my favorites to watch is Pardon the Interruption.
I thought you were gonna say The View. So that's okay.
The View, yeah. Well, Joy Behar.
Is mom still watching The View? Is she still watching The View? We gotta ask her if she's still watching that. I'm gonna be impressed.
That's when you know you're old. Like when like all my children and Kelly Rips is like almost 50. I'm like, what the hell?
I saw that the other day. I went by the channel and I was like, well, it was Regis and Kathy Lee for a while. There was Regis and Kelly. Now it's like Kelly and Ryan or something. I was like, what? Or I was like, what the hell?
Michael Strahan was on there too.
I know, but now it's like Ryan Seacrest, and I'm like, that guy is like, that guy must have had tons of plastic surgery. I'm sorry, his face is like, I mean, does it move? I mean, like it is just like the whole time. I'm like, I don't know how he does it. Like the highlights and the fate. I mean, I don't know how he can like stay on like the
I
whole.
was
Like,
like,
does he not smile every time? I mean, I could see him like being mad and like, don't do that. Like just being real. I don't know. I'm impressed. His mom's still watching all these shows. We got to talk to her about it. I do have to say, I did bring back and watch a show. I was showing the kids at Supermarket Sweep that came back on Netflix for a little bit. I had to watch that one. You remember that show, right?
Oh man, yeah. You ever
Nothing wanted me to grocery shop more.
Yeah, I know, right? Shoot, I was like, sign me up. Hey, isn't it funny though? Like I was talking to Ruby about this, and I was like, yeah, like I got my new like setup for my my plate on my for the CD, and I ripped it out, put a new one in, and then I have like a bunch of CDs. And her kid was like, CDs? You still have CDs? And I'm like, oh man, is it really getting out of date? Like where you can't play CDs anymore? Everything's like wireless, Bluetooth, YouTube, all these. And I'm just like, man, I'm like telling all these shows, like, I'm like, hey, have you seen Double Dare? Have you seen Temple of Doom? And they're looking at me like
Temple
I'm
of Doom.
Guts. I was like,
Guts.
God, I was like, man, miss those classic shows, Step by Step.
Well, you have to grow up at some point, but that doesn't mean you can still enjoy some of these other shows once in a
If you
while as
still
well.
watch Ninja Turtles, you're still cool.
Well, no comment on that one. No comment on that one. All right, man. That was good. We'll see you next week. I'll get this posted. And yeah, guys, thanks for, like I said, anybody watching, we appreciate it. We'll see if we can get more of our friends out there on the show as well. Tyler, whatever you're doing, take it easy. We'll see you on the next one. Burn that hat. See you, Case.
Later.